Hey, good morning. We're gonna have a great conversation today with Allison Wilson from the Hope Project. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself today, Allison?
My name is Allison Wilson. I am the mother to five children, the spouse to a veteran Navy SEAL of 16 years, and also the founder of the Hope Project.
Mm. So let's dive into a little bit about let's dive into first. How did we or you get involved a little bit with psychedelics?
Yes. So I will definitely have to credit my involvement to my husband. He actually went to his first Ibogaine journey about 8 years ago when he got out of the SEAL teams. Just was, having a hard time with transition, like a lot of these veterans do. And I will say that I think we what we want for our spouses is for them to kind of be the ball of love and welcoming when they come home, and I was not
Hmm.
that. I was more, jealous and upset that I wasn't getting the same, like, healing qualities and, mindfulness that my husband was retaining from this psychedelic journey. So it took me a little while to get to my own journey, but after some convincing and kind of hitting rock bottom myself, I then went to my own psychedelic journey in Costa Rica, actually, was my first journey. Um, and from there, that is how the Hope Project birthed. I saw such a need in supporting the veteran spouses and family members and just the women in the veteran space, and kind of including them in their veterans journey, and then just being able to access that themselves too and have something of their own. That's when I started Hope Project and really diving into psychedelics. It was right in the middle. I was coming home from Costa Rica when COVID hit. I almost got stuck in Costa Rica. So I will say it wasn't the easiest thing to do starting a nonprofit with the word psychedelics in the middle of COVID. But it happened and it blew up. And, here we are today, merged with Heroic Hearts Project and being able to heal the entire family unit under one roof, which is really amazing.
It is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. What is even more beautiful is how, you know, in this space, how a husband, wife, partners, they get together and we're creating, like me and my wife creating, and you and your husband are creating. We're creating and we're showing people that there's such a better way to heal. I mean, look at our minds are just like they're corrupted. So, psychedelics really shake all these things up. And Ibogaine, what a powerful medicine. I sat with Iboga before, so I know what Ibogaine and Iboga really are all about. And, that's really transformational. And that's a
Mhm.
lot where I think the veterans go to. I mean, that Ibogaine, that Bufo treatment, that boom, boom, bang, let's settle down because I saw one study out of Stanford when the vets were going down to Mexico, I think it
Mhm.
was. They were doing the ibogaine treatment. Then after the ibogaine treatment, they would dose them with the 5-MeO, and they would come
Yes.
back, and their brains would be just all wired. It would be like Christmas trees. When they would go down there, it was dead. How
Mhm.
amazing is that? And we know something's working, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's the exact protocol that my husband did, so,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So how is he now?
Oh, he's great. I think eh yes, I completely agree with what you're saying, especially I think the community that we came from, the SEAL and the special operations community, that the Ibogaine and the 5-MeO DMT, it's such a powerful, medicine for these guys, and even for women too, or anyone in the military. But
Sure.
what we were seeing, the challenge was the integration on the back end, I think.
Yeah.
So, really making sure that they had the support and we're doing the work on the back end. So, my husband's actually going to another journey in May to do psilocybin in Mexico with a healer that we use through our nonprofit. And he's very excited about that. I think I just did um, my own journey, a month and a half ago, and I hadn't done it in 3 years, so I think it's just, like, remembering, though, the Ibogaine, the psilocybin, whatever psychedelic we use is a tool to access what we need to access, to be able to get us to the root cause of a lot of that trauma. But then the work afterwards and the community piece is what I have seen, that's so beneficial for these veterans and their families.
That's the key. You know, these medicines work and they work sometimes really exponentially. So what they do is they basically open up the portals, you know? They open
Mhm.
up your portals. And once those portals are open, man, can you fill them up with all good stuff? So integration, like we always say medicine is like 5% of the healing. It really is. Because
Yeah.
medicine is it's just an illusion. I mean, you're breaking paradigms. So when you break paradigms and you see different paradigms, you can kind of say, what is all that about? And you start self-discovering in yourself. But
Yeah.
I don't really want to jump into that. I really want to talk about veterans this morning because I think it's very, very important where we are in this space,
Mhm.
especially, psychedelics. I mean, the veteran community has a big say in this. Don't you agree?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I think it's really hard for people to say, no, I'm not going to donate money to an organization that's supporting the people that fought for our country. And, I think this is a great group to be able to put through these medicines because not only because the trauma of wars, but I feel like what we've seen is a lot of the veterans are very good at holding even childhood trauma, right? Because I would
Right.
say a good percentage of these veterans and spouses that go through our programs, a lot of the root cause of the trauma is so far back behind the war trauma. It is trauma at home, trauma in their childhood, and it's things that they haven't even accessed in years and years and years and years. And sometimes they don't even remember that's there. But I think they're very good. Our soldiers are very good at putting on that armor and just walking the walk and being strong and not saying anything about it and being able to have that illusion on the outside that everything's okay. And that goes with their family members as well. Their family members and their spouses and even their kids are very good at holding that all together. So, I think it's a great group that not only shows us what psychedelics can do, but these people have put their lives on for our country. So being able to support them with this is something really powerful.
It really is. And you mentioned something there. It's all about childhood trauma. It's all about DNA. It's all about family lineage, and it's about childhood trauma. When we put all those together, and you're going to the service and you're going fighting for our country, and here you are just keep burying and burying and burying. And now you're seeing all these things. Some people go to combat, some people don't, some people sit behind office, but it's still you're in the military and you're facing these things every day, which, you know, it's kind of tough. And then you just keep burying and burying these things. So I think for the veteran community, because I've sat with a lot of these guys in ayahuasca ceremonies, they go through a
Mm.
lot, they're going through a lot. And, to come out of that, to actually be brave enough to do that is pretty powerful.
It is. It's really powerful, and I feel like the veteran community right now, the guys that have retired and things, they're not well. I know that my husband's lost more friends to suicide after he got out 8 years ago than he did while he was in the service, which is, that's a really, really awful thing to fathom.
Yeah.
And and that's why I think we're such big advocates on like healing our heroes at home too. And yes, there is definitely a place in Mexico, Costa Rica, Peru, places that we see retreats being hosted, but there's also um, this opening for having the license centers in the States as well, so that some veterans that aren't able to access things outside of the country, and that they can't leave the country to do the work, for whatever reason, that they have accessible medicine, journeys that are safe and contained and with the proper licensed facilitators inside our country. So right now, we Heroic Hearts was actually the first organization to do a legal psilocybin journey in Oregon for veterans, and then Hope Project followed them, and we did the first legal, psilocybin journey for veteran spouses in Oregon. So, again, like, there's such a special thing about doing it, in Mexico with the indigenous healers, but there's also that, thing of, "Hey, why should we have to make our veterans leave the country that they fought for to be able to get the healing that they deserve?"
Let's dive into something there, Allison. What are your obstacles right now?
I mean, it's advocacy right now. I think, I think the newest thing that we're seeing is that the vets organization, was just in Texas helping pass the bill for the Ibogaine research, which is really exciting. Oregon obviously is legal to do psilocybin journeys there. There are, laws and stipulations there that are making sure that veterans and people, anyone really who wants to access psilocybin has the safe, like a safe a container to do that in. Colorado has passed for the, I believe for the Personal Possession Act, and now they're kind of in talks with trying to figure out what that looks like for the centers. I believe there's 2 licensed centers in Colorado right now, and there's more on the books that have put their license in. So, there are different states that are moving forward to go ahead and pass that law, and I think just making sure that we advocate and use the voices that we have internally and that have gone through our program is the biggest piece of the puzzle. We also, Heroic Hearts works closely with Healing Advocacy Fund, and, Healing Breakthrough. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? That was, it's Healing Breakthrough, not Healing Advocacy Fund. I always get those 2 names mixed up. So anyways, Juliana Mercer, she is a former veteran herself, or she's a veteran herself, and she does a lot of advocacy work on the Hill for us too,
Mhm.
which is wonderful. So, I think it really just is the getting out there and being able to use veteran voices, being able to show these lawmakers the research and the data on all of this. And, we're constantly doing that.
Well, don't forget New Mexico too. New Mexico just passed full blown. So,
Did
and
they? Okay. Okay,
yeah,
great.
and stores are popping up all over Colorado for psilocybin. So it's
Yes.
moving in this direction, and I think it's really positive. The thing you just said though, like I don't trust our government yet. I
Yeah.
can't get on board with where they're at. I think they know these medicines work so well. So why we put a caboose on them in 1967, we all know why. And now to get out of that stigma we created has been
Yeah.
for us, like after my first journey, I said, "Yeah, everybody needs to know about this. I'm going to go create this, and everybody knows about this." But it's very difficult to.
Yeah.
They really did a good job. They really
Yep.
did a good job by scaring people. And
Yep.
our main thing, what we like to project and we like to tell people, is these medicines aren't scary. They really aren't. They really, because anything beyond fear is joy. So
Yeah,
that's a great.
definitely. And
Hmm.
there's, and it's not just no, it's not just the medicine piece is what we try to tell these veterans and their family members too. Like you said, it, the small percentage that it is. Like I love
Yeah,
to say, "Oh, your retreat is 5 to 7 days of the rest of the journey that you're on for the rest of your life." So think of it like
right.
that too. But I think really making sure, like, going through the steps of our program that we have, and I'm happy to dive more into our program too, but
Yeah.
being able to have the medical screening, the intake call, really diving into it with these veterans and their family members, and talking to them about what the retreat looks like, and being able to walk them through the program and have them, do their one-to-one coaching and their group calls and all of that prep before their journey, and then having all the support afterwards as well, just makes things a little bit easier for them, I think, to go through the process, and for us to show people and say, "No, like, look, this is our entire program." It's not just, "Hey, here's some funds, go do some medicine." It's, "Now you're part of our community, and we have this ongoing community for you for life afterwards, that you can hop on weekly calls, that, you can call your coach or therapist up and say, I'm having a bad day. So it's the consistency too that we have throughout the program, I think, which really, it just kind of elaborates the fact that veterans do need this, because it's not only the medicine piece, it's the community piece, right? Because
Absolutely. 100%.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. I mean, it's just you 100% nailed it because you leave some of these treatment centers or you leave some of these locations and you go home to that same atmosphere, but you need people, you need people that have had that same experience that you can
Mhm,
talk to. We are going through some transitions here and you guys are setting foundations for the real life, what this is going to look like in the future. That's what
mhm.
you're doing. So let's jump into what the whole project does. Let's dive
Yeah.
into it from the audience.
For sure. Yeah. So basically, let's say, there is a spouse that wants to go on a retreat. I can start with that. So if she says, "Okay, I heard about the Hope Project. Great. I'm a veteran spouse and I would love to apply for their program." So on our website, we have an application on there. That application comes to our team. I actually get to read over all of the applications, which is wonderful. We keep it very personalized. And from that application, once something opens up for a retreat, we go ahead and move through those applications and we do intake calls. So on our intake call, we'll get to know the spouse or the family member. We will, kind of ask them their why, like what brought you to this work, and a lot of times it's just talking about the medicine, like this is what might come up. These are things that might happen. This is kind of what, how psychedelics work. A lot of times it's really taking them from the very beginning of it and them being like, I have no idea. I just know that somebody told me to call you. um, and just kind of assessing where they are. You know, we do not want to ever put a woman into a retreat if she's not ready to do that. We do have other modalities, like we have a practitioner that does trauma release energy work. We have, multiple coaches that some are doctors, some are therapists. We have couples counseling on there, some therapy work. And, we've partnered with other organizations that have therapists in their pool as well, and just making sure that they have the support and that they're ready to do the work. If there is a woman that does not have the support when she comes home, we want to make sure that she has that support when she comes home too. So the intake call is extremely important, because the last thing that we want to do is have them go to a journey, completely get ripped open and their traumas be released and them kind of dropped right back into their life. And, we've seen a lot, especially with spouses, that, they are taking care of everything at home. They might be possibly supporting their veteran that's having, some just hardships at home, trying to integrate back into civilian life. They're taking care of the kids. They might have a job. So it's really hard to kind of get them out of their heads and into their body. But so once the intake call, then we do a medical screening. So we have a PA on staff that does a full medical screening for them. From there, that, they're approved or they're never denied, but it's always, "Hey, what else can we do to support you?" Sometimes ketamine may be the answer, and, that's not something that we offer, but we do partner. We have other organizations that we know that could offer that in a safe setting. Maybe psilocybin isn't the answer for them. Once they go through all of that process and they are approved, they get 3 one-to-one prep calls with their individual coach, and then that coach, depending on their, trauma or kind of what they're working through or if they've done the medicine before, all our coaches are trained in, psychedelic prep and integration. Some are therapists, some are doctors too, and we love to work, like, on a tiered system as well. Because I would never expect one of our coaches to dive into, like, military sexual trauma with one of the women, so we make sure that they have the support that they need. We also start the group calls then. So this is where the community starts. Not only do we have a signal chat with everybody on there that's constantly going, but we start the group calls and we have all of the women, meet each other, meet the practitioner that's going to be doing the ceremony, meet the liaison for hope, and do all of that. We'll have nutrition classes, we'll offer TRE, we'll offer a lot of prep work, and we'll also offer the spouses, the guys of these women or the women, and we'll offer them support as well. So we'll say, "Hey, does your spouse or is there a family member at home that's going to support you on the back end?" We'll be willing to give them their own coach too. We have specific coaches for that too, so that they could help. This was kind of like me when Jonathan came home. I had no idea what was going on. I felt like unseen and unheard. He was saying all these words. I almost felt more disconnected to him when he came home and
So
just like
it's
jealous. So we have the support for those spouses or for those partners when they're on their journey too. Um, they go to the journey. It's either Mexico or Oregon. These in these last 6 months, we've done 4. So we had 2 in Mexico, 2 in Oregon, and we have 1 in Mexico this summer. And the journey is 5 to 6 days of we tailored the journey specifically for women. We actually just do 1 psilocybin journey there, and we do 2 full integration days on the back end. So they're learning attainable tools that they can take home, breathwork, meditation, art therapy. They do massages. They have a chef there. They, learn how to really get into their bodies and out of their head, but like attainable things that they can take home so that when they get home and the craziness is happening still, because it's not like we can tell our kids like, "Oh, mom's integrating right now. You have to be good today," So I think it's just, these really simple attainable tools that we forget about. We do
yeah,
those for 2 full days before we even stick them on a plane, the 3rd day then on a plane. But we specifically just do 1 medicine ceremony because the retreat is more our hope retreats are more about the community and the family aspect with the medicine in the middle. But it's the community and the healing piece of it first.
because
So
that's the foundation.
yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
definitely the foundation.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
seems like you really have, this really figured out, and the more I sit here and ponder this, I would have talked to Michelle, but we have a very large microdosing psilocybin business that
Yeah.
I'd really be interested in donating to you guys and see what
Oh,
we
that
can
would
do
be
there.
amazing.
Maybe you go, yeah, so while we're off this conversation, let's discuss that for
Oh,
you
thank you
both,
so
for
much.
Heroic Hearts and Hope Project, because I
Yeah,
think
that
it
would be
could be
wonderful.
really sustainable for all of us. So let me ask you, how many people do you have so far in the Hope Project?
Oh gosh, so our women's weekly goes out to 2,000 people.
Wow.
2,000, and that's women, veterans, spouses, Gold Star spouses, if there's family members. I have about 300 women on my in my application database right now. But we have supported before I merged with Heroic Hearts, we supported about 26 women. We were the liaison to different retreats. And
Hmm.
then once we merged with Heroic Hearts, we were able to start creating our own retreats, which has been really fantastic. Obviously, using partners to give the medicine and to be able to serve and like support that container. Um, and we have been a last year we supported. I think there was 32 women. This year we are looking at least, like, close to 75. So, we've been able to, double that plus some. Um, and on the back, just to quickly tell you too, like, on the back end of these retreats, it's the same thing. 3 one-to-one, with your coach integration and 3 group Zoom. And then we have weekly calls. We have integration weekly calls for spouses. We have integration weekly calls for veteran women and spouses that have been through their own retreat. And we also have like TRE weekly. Or we'll just support the spouse who wants to support her husband or her partner going on a retreat at HHP or another organization. So we just try, you know, that's the biggest thing for me is community is the medicine, especially in this military realm.
So what are you seeing as a success?
So I will say that our retreats with Hope are, you know, definitely over 80% effective. I would say
Is it I gotta stop there.
95.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, is
Yes.
like what medicine, like in the Western world, will give you that?
I know. No, nothing. Yeah, no, nothing.
Nothing.
And I would say
80%.
90. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
crazy. It's
It
crazy.
is.
Yeah.
Psychedelics work
Mhm. It is
if you work
really
them.
it's really phenomenal. It's really phenomenal. And, these women really show up for themselves. I just got home from Oregon 2 days ago, and, just I'm just so proud of all of them for showing up for themselves and for being there and for reaching out and, like, doing the work because it's hard. It's hard. It's not
Yeah.
easy. Um, I almost feel like, taking the medicine is the easy part. It's like showing up to do it, doing the work before, and then the work afterwards. But I would probably say at least 90 to 95% of the women after the retreat just tell me like, Allison, like to the team too, like, thank you so much. Like this was besides, having children or getting married or, some big life moment like that, this was one of the most impactful things in my life. And this has created like so much love in me now. They're able to now live their life, this healthier lifestyle with that love and being able to access different traumas in that space and being able to let them go and then have all this room for the things that they, wanted to fill themselves up with. So, it really is a beautiful thing.
It is. It's pretty amazing what you're doing, like the awareness you're bringing and the awareness to the space. I mean, we really need the veterans. We really need the women. I mean, we need it all because this medicine works. And the amazing thing is, it works so well if you just do a little bit of work. And like you said, it is hard. There's nothing easy about change, but the gratification you get is just something I don't know. I've been in this space for about 7 years, and
Mhm.
everything we get is, I can't believe how my life has changed. I can't believe, the like people don't understand how beautiful life can be. And what's really amazing that I've really noticed in the last 2 years or so, maybe less, is the elderly coming to this medicine, 70 and
Mhm.
80-year olds sitting with ayahuasca, sitting with psilocybin, coming out of these journeys and saying, I'm gonna use some bad language here, but what the fuck was I doing for 80 years?
Aw,
And it's like,
yeah.
they're like, wow, because I think the programming is so big, so enormous. I mean, everything we do in the United States is
That's right.
programmed. I mean, we're just
Yeah.
program, program, program. And I think it's really hard for people to get out of the program. And once they
Oh, for
do,
sure.
man, once you see beyond, it is amazing. So amazing. But I'm going to do something. I'm going to interrupt here. I love Michelle to finish this with you because I think women are really welcome to space. And let's her finish this. Okay. So give me a
Okay.
minute.
Okay. Yeah, just tell me a little bit. Oh, perfect, perfect. Yeah, so we started about 5 years ago as a nonprofit, to support veteran spouses and family members in this space, and it also opened up to it's all women, so it opened up to veteran women and Gold Star spouses as well, and partners, girlfriends, everything. And then we ended up getting pretty large pretty fast. We were just the liaison
Okay.
to different retreats. So basically, as a nonprofit, I would raise money to give women scholarships to go to retreats that we had vetted. But we created the containers on the front end and the back end. So for the prep and the integration. So we had coaches that I contracted out and that would support the women with the coaching. And we would have like the community calls and stuff. Um, Once we started getting a little bit larger, we had already had a partnership with Heroic Hearts Project. So we merged officially with Heroic Hearts about 2.5, 3 years ago. I said 2.5 before, but it's 2.5, 3 years. Time flies. Um,
Wow.
and now we're able to help the entire family under one unit. We're a program now off of Hero Carts, so we're able to, not only give the veteran access to retreats, but we've been able to now create our very own spouse retreats with, partnering with practitioners and with centers in different areas, and been able to offer the spouses like their own retreats too.
That's great because they need it
Thank
just
you.
as much.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, for sure. So you actually offer the retreats or you help them find the places and you partner with those retreats?
So we don't have doctors on staff that offer the medicine, but we partner with a place called Cora Center in Oregon, since
Mhm, mhm.
Oregon's legal now.
Yep.
So we go and we bring the women there, and we actually stay while the women are in ceremony. You have to be licensed to be in the room. So there's, some OHA laws that we have to follow. And then
Sure.
in Mexico, we partner with a woman named Dr. Andrea Lucy, and she runs the Red Path retreats, and we use her to do all of our retreats. But we all stay together in the same house and everything.
Mhm. And then do you attend as well?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I have another hope liaison that attends for me because, as I'm sure the energy can be very draining if you go to multiple retreats. So I actually will be at 2 this month. I just got back from Oregon and I leave for Mexico on the 29th. And I'm
Okay.
very excited about that, but I think I'll definitely be taking a break for a while until I go to support another one.
Yeah, it is definitely draining.
Yes, yes. It's
Yeah,
beautiful, but, there is a lot of energy, so, yeah.
it does. So tell me what it looks like from start to finish. Somebody comes to you and says, "I'm looking for this."
Mhm. Yeah, so they would fill out an application on our website first. From there, we would do an intake call, and on those intake calls, we, learn why they're possibly looking for this medicine, if they've done this work
Mhm.
before, where they are, what their home life looks like. Because we want to make sure that we're not dropping them back into a situation after they do the medicine that they aren't able to integrate the proper way. What they
Sure.
do for a living, just a little bit about their background and their history. So the intake calls are pretty thorough. I do most of those. And then from there, we do a medical screening. We have a PA on staff that does medical screenings for us. And from there, if everything looks good and they're approved, if they're not approved at that time, it's not that we deny them, but we offer like other modalities. We have a woman that does trauma release energy work for us. So we'll say, maybe let's work on this for a little bit or get you with one of our coaches that's also a therapist. And she's able to support you, just so you have a little bit more time to do the work before you go to the retreat, or we might not
Yep.
have an opening at that time. If women are on, a lot of medication that they possibly have to get off of, maybe helping them find a local ketamine center that could, support them in getting off of medication. Again, we are not doctors, so we can't, we have our protocol that we have to follow with our retreat practitioners. And, if they don't fall under that medically. We just have to figure out other modalities for them to be able to support them to be able to get to the retreat. But let's say they are approved, we put them with one of our coaches. We have like a tiered system too, so we work with therapists as well. We have a doctor on staff, and they also will coach for us in that capacity. So depending on where they are, their needs, we'll put them with one of our coaches, and then they have 3 one-to-one prep sessions, and then we also do group calls. I was telling Mark that in Hope Project, the community is the medicine for sure. And that is what, especially I feel like with the women sometimes, they just get so bonded. So we start with the signal chat, we start with the group calls. We have 3 of those. And then the retreat. The retreat in Mexico and Oregon are pretty intentionally built for these women, especially spouses that are coming possibly from taking care of kids all day or working or having to help take care of their veteran or, really have a lot falling on their shoulders.
Mhm.
So we use one medicine, we just use psilocybin, and we do one journey, one big, hero's dose of that, and we
Okay.
have a prep day beforehand to kind of just get them into their bodies when they're not at home. There's no technology there, and
Love
just a
that.
lot of attainable tools that they're able to utilize. They have the journey, and then they have 2 full days afterwards of learning attainable tools to be able to take home. So breath work, mindfulness, yoga, they do massages, we have art therapy, we have a chef there, it's a lot of, I like to say it's like a community-based healing pod with the medicine in the middle, So, really the medicine is not eh I know it's the reason why people do this work, but I really try to make sure that these women understand that, like, this stuff is inside you. You are just uncovering it, and the psilocybin's just another tool to help you access that. So here's some tools so you don't have to run off to Mexico or to Oregon to be able to access that again. Like, here's some tools that you can do at home in the comfort of your own home with your kids, taking a deep breath while you're driving, something, really anything. So
Mhm.
they do the retreat, and then on the back end, they have 3 one-to-one integration calls with their coach, 3 group calls again, and then they have the ongoing. So every week we offer 3 offerings every week for women to be able to hop on ongoing. And we pay for so the Hope Project asked for a $750 deposit for Mexico, but we pay for flights and the retreat and the coaching and the ongoing work. So we do all of
Oh,
that.
wow.
Yeah, it costs us about $6,000 per person to put them through a retreat. And we would never want to say no to anybody too if the
Yeah.
$750 was too much for them. So we sometimes offer women payment plans and stuff. And then in Oregon, it's a $300 deposit and then they pay for their flight and we pay for everything else. But yeah, that's
And how do you raise the money? How does your foundation raise money for this?
yeah, so everything is, through one organization, through Heroic Hearts now, since we're a program off of
Mhm.
Heroic Hearts. It's a lot of family foundations that donate to us. Heroic Hearts does a very, very good job of fundraising, and I think to being able to bring the story to the donor that we are not only supporting the veteran now, but we're now supporting the entire family unit as a whole just really speaks to donors. The generational healing that's happening because of that too, the children, grandchildren, everything. And being able to, when we're supporting a spouse, we're offering their partners or spouses support as well to be able to support them. So we're really like creating this entire like family unit healing piece. So yeah, but a lot
Which
of
is so
we do have
important.
some grants that we get, but a lot of private family funding.
Mhm. Okay. Wow, that is amazing. And it's the
Thank you.
integration afterwards. I love that you have the calls. The integration calls are the best.
Yes, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we always say the medicine is just the catalyst and
Yeah.
the answers are already inside of you. The
Yeah.
medicine just sort of lights up,
Yeah.
lights up what needs to be seen.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I love that you said
Mhm.
that because it's hard to explain that to people sometimes. So it
I
is.
know.
I think when people have these such powerful experiences, it's hard to explain to people that that's like inside of you already and it's not the end all be all, that there is like hard work still that has to be done, but like you're the one that's actually doing it. So it's hard to explain
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because people think it's the medicine, but it's not.
Yep.
And really the actual 4 hours or 3 hours or 6 hours, or however long the journey is, I mean, that's the smallest part of the whole entire thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So what do you find is the biggest challenge that you face?
You know, sometimes the biggest challenge when we do this work with the women specifically is being able to get them into a place where they're out of their heads and into their bodies. They're
Mhm.
so used to going, and I think it's society too. We're so used to going, 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 going. I mean, I was guilty of it as well. I still am sometimes, that's our way of how we deal with things because we don't ever sit with
Yeah.
ourselves. So sometimes that is a really big challenge, being able to access that like quiet for the women too, and being able to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Another challenge for us, which I think we do really well at though, is so we not will support, spouses that are divorced, that are separated, that, girlfriends,
Mm.
partners. And I think sometimes making sure that everybody kind of is on the same page or has at least knows the same language to speak to each other about afterwards when they come home, because that can be really debilitating, I think, for whoever, went to the journey or for whoever was at home. So really trying to fine tune being able to have, workshops for couples, or being able to have like counseling for couples if they are in a space where that's possibly dividing them more than bringing them together.
Which can happen.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, it's hard. You know,
Mhm.
one person's fight figuring out all these things, the other was understanding what's going on. And it can be very challenging.
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Mhm. So, what do you see for the future of your foundation?
So, yeah, I
What's your
mean,
hope?
now that we are merged with HHP, like, it's been amazing to watch the growth. We have had gosh, we had 4 retreats last year. This year, I believe we'll have 9 or 10, which is really amazing.
Amazing.
I don't know if we'll ever go over 10. 10 is a lot. So, my hope is for the future is that we build out more programs, accessible programs for integration. We are looking at, partnering with an organization that does a lot of like breath work and meditation, and being able to open that up to women in this community. So, I know that's just like my hope for the future is being able to have women have access to like these ongoing tools,
Mm.
and making sure that that's attainable to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's going to continue.
Yes.
Healing is not linear, right?
Yes, definitely, definitely. Someone just said that in a retreat I just got back from.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
true.
so
I mean,
true.
it's you can heal at a cellular level, but life still continues. So
Yes.
things continue.
Mhm. Yep, I always say when,
Amazing.
when women are leaving the retreat, I'm like, "Listen, I always tell people they should have to integrate to us. We shouldn't have to integrate to the world." Like, I feel like we're,
Mm.
the level that we're on, we should be able to take to the world and them integrate to our level, but it doesn't happen that way. So, trying
Yeah.
to make them understand that it's about the reactions they're gonna have to these things now, right? Whether it's driving down the road and someone cuts you off, or having an argument with your spouse, or getting upset at your kid. Like, it's about our reactions to things, and stepping back and being mindful of things, and thinking about stuff, and letting us feel the feelings instead of just reacting, and then it getting shoved down and sitting there, so
And I think it also allows you to, once you have a journey like this, it changes your perception. So maybe
yes.
your world is the same, but your perception of it is completely different. And
Yeah.
when that perception changes, I say this all the time. I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah,
Everything's possible.
definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, amazing work what you are doing.
Thank
Tell
you.
us where we can find you.
Yeah. So the Hope Project, I can put it's just that you can look us up on Google. It's under the Hope Project, and we're right online. It's the hope-project.org. And Heroic Hearts Project too. Heroic Hearts Project is online as well, and we are a program on Heroic Hearts website as well. So if you click on through Heroic Hearts tabs at the top, you'll find Hope Project on there too.
I believe Mark and I met them at a conference. I do believe we met some folks representing coming from Hard.
Oh,
So at a
amazing.
conference.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
could be wrong, but I do believe I did.
That's
Well,
great.
thank you so much for coming on. I know you had a chance to talk with Mark. I'm glad we
Yes.
got to split it up and talk a little bit
Thank
together.
you. Yes, I know. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.